Why didn't my father disown me when I left Islam? Here is the question asked by many. I was also asking myself the same question, and then I went to him and I said, Daddy, sometimes I overheard people even shouting, fighting with you because you've permitted me to be going to church. And he said, yes, there is a story you don't know, far, far before you were born. And I said, Daddy, let me know. He didn't want to tell me, but I insisted. Then he told me, do you think your mother is the one I married first? I said, yes, of course. And he said, no, I married somebody called Tipoga. And unfortunately, I was impotent. Means that I could do everything possible, but not a child. And because I used to sing and I was also in Malam, people thought I used my manhood for a lot of activities. So I was going through a lot. And he said, because I wasn't able to give birth, that my wife divorced me before I met your mother. He said, when I married your mom, we were there for many years without a child, to a point that they warned me that if your mom is not pregnant, they will come and take your mom away from me. So the persecution was so much that my father ran to a particular village called Bawakura around Kintampo. There is Anyima, Kintampo, Karabonsudo, Suno, that area. So we were staying there. They actually gave birth to me in Kintampo before we moved into my native community. I came into my own community when I was in class 2. My mom's parents were actually frustrated, and they were right, because they didn't want my mom to just get married and then be walking. It can be frustrating to have a husband without a child. Yeah, my dad was not just an ordinary man. He has eyes, but upon all that, he could not get himself a child. So he said one day he heard about one prophet, and then he decided, anyway, I'm a Muslim, but I'm just looking for my answer, So they don't care wherever they will get the answer from. He just wanted to do away with that disgrace. So he traveled to a particular community in one afternoon. So he said the prophet was located in an isolated area, just with some few members. That's why it's not good to look down on growing churches. Yeah, don't look down on your church, because your church can birth out a revival you could never imagine. Yeah, so he visited the prophet, and then he said the prophet said he should kneel down. As a Muslim, he just humbled himself, and then he knelt down. He said they were just praying, speaking in tongues. Speaking in tongues, he was like, they were just shababa, that plenty thing he didn't understand, and then they were even spitting on him, So he said he didn't believe, but he just wanted to honor their faith and see what God would do. Sometimes God doesn't need your faith. He just needs to prove to you that he's God. And after that prayer, he said when he came home, exactly a month later, my mom became pregnant. And guess what? I was that seed. And when I came forth, every other child came because I opened the gate. So he said he knew that I was a prophetic seed. So when I became Christian, he wasn't really shocked, because he could remember that story. You see that now? So God was able to remind him of that story, to tell him that, hey, I have an assignment for your son, and you have to allow him. Then he told me, I knew that you're a prophetic and a destiny child from God. Do you know why? Even the day we wanted to do your naming ceremony, they poisoned some ingredients. He mentioned specifically fish. And the agenda was that they wanted your mom to be put away so that you will struggle. And he said a lot of things I don't want to repeat. Even when my mom gave birth, people didn't understand. They didn't even believe. They had to come and spy around, because they really worked for many years without a child. But when they came, it was true. So they poisoned the something, and then, so he said they kept the ingredients in the veranda. And then a mysterious dog, I'm quoting from what he said, he has never seen that dog before. He said the dog came and took the ingredients and ran into a forest. There was a particular forest around our house. Ran into the forest deep, and went and deposited it there. So later on, when they were looking for the items, people were like, we saw one dog carrying something running. So they traced, then they went and met the fish there. Dogs usually, they're supposed to eat fish, so the dog didn't even touch a single fish out of it. So my dad was like, this is not usual. I have to find out. So he went and then did some divination to kind of find out. And then they told him that something was poison. And the reason they poisoned it was your child. Your child is an important child. So they wanted to eliminate him. Are you getting something here? And even regardless that my mom's breast milk wasn't, so I had to depend on supplements and other stuff. I don't know where from that dog, but I can believe that by peradventure it could be an angel, or God just decided to use that dog to save me, just like he used the donkey to speak to the prophet. God is an amazing God. Kabara Sopila Kataya. I honor him, I respect God, and I love him. I don't care your feelings. So my dad is an amazing man. I love him. My dad passed on. That was 2024, 28th December, and he passed on as a Christian. I love my dad, and I love my parents, and everyone who stood for me in this journey. Prophet Nkrumah, Osoph Nat, there are many people I cannot mention. The Lord bless you. Please share this. My mission is to make sure that the gospel of Christ reach everyone. Share, follow, like, and then let's journey together. I know how difficult it is to evangelize to Muslims sometimes. I put my story, my encounter, and then I made comparison between the Bible and the Quran, Muhammad, and then Jesus Christ. Islam and Christianity, an apologetic book. Yes, I launched it. That was some years ago. And then honestly, I only have some few copies left. Yes, my graceful transition from Islam to Christianity, the testimony. Yeah, I have some few copies. Yeah, just an amazing book. Yeah, so we have some few hard copies left. If you love some, they are absolutely for free. I want to sow them as a seed into the life of Muslims. And also we have soft copy. If you have some people you want to evangelize to them but you don't know how to, please, you can contact me for the book through the number on the screen. It's absolutely for free. But I'll be writing a second edition, and probably if you want to just support, it's fine, but it's for free.